Davos Watch.
Welcome to the first episode of Davos Watch, where we keep an eye on the global elites from Davos to the UN and all the other advocates of global fascism and totalitarian technocracy. This week, our story comes to my attention from The Federalist. It's an article titled, "These 14 American cities have a target of banning meat, dairy, and private vehicles by 2030. The article is new, but it talks about a report from a few years ago produced by the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group, or C40, titled "The Future of Urban Consumption in a 1.5 degrees Celsius World." Like I mentioned, the report is a few years old, but it is getting renewed attention, and deservedly so, considering how crazy the report is. So C40 is one of these globalist advocacy groups. They focus on building a global network of major cities to combat climate change through advocating policy, facilitating access to finance, and other things like that. Michael Bloomberg serves as the president of the C40 board, and funders of the organization include American Express, FedEx, Google, and Tides Foundation, Open Society Foundations, Rockefeller Philanthropy. Partners who also supply financial funding to this organization include the Clinton Foundation, the United Nations Environmental Program, and the World Bank. Their work is frequently cited in the World Economic Forum publications. So they run with the best of them when it comes to being these global groups out there. So C40 has a network of cities approaching 100 globally. These are all signed on by the mayors of these cities. These cities include Paris, Rome, Lisbon, London, Amsterdam, Stockholm, Tel Aviv, Tokyo, Beijing, Hong Kong. In America, they include Austin, Texas, Boston, Chicago, Houston, LA, Miami, New Orleans, New York City, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Portland, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. Also, C40 doesn't just let any city into their club. They have standards. And these standards, as it stands through 2024, include various promises to incorporate climate action goals and plans into the city's most influential decision-making processes, and use their position of mayor to show global climate leadership and inspire others to take action. And if you fail to meet these standards, you're thrown out of the club. Anyway, the report outlines a series of consumption interventions that could be taken by cities that relate to meat consumption, clothing purchases, personal transportation, air travel, and even electronics and appliances. Some of these consumption interventions include reducing car ownership, lowering meat consumption, reducing clothing purchases, and reducing air travel. And each one of these consumption interventions has a progressive target by 2030 and an ambitious target by 2030. So examples of this, and Andy, if you click on that link right below where you highlighted the future of urban consumption and go down to page 56 or something like that, you'll see all of these laid out in their two different targets: the progressive target by 2030 and the ambitious target by 2030. So examples of this include meat consumption. The progressive target says 16 kilograms of meat per person per year. The ambitious target for this part of the report is 0. Clothing purchases. The progressive target is 8 new clothing items per person per year. The ambitious target, 3 new items per year. I bought a pair of socks, and that does it for me until March of next year. Private vehicles, progressive target, 190 vehicles per 1,000 people. The ambitious target, 0. No private cars. Air travel, the progressive target, 1 short-haul return flight every 2 years per person. The ambitious target, 1 short-haul return flight for every person every 3 years. So, and before I get fact-checked on this segment, there is a passage on page 68 of the report stating, quote, "This report does not advocate for the wholesale adoption of these more ambitious targets in C40 cities. Rather, they are included to provide a set of reference points that cities and other actors can reflect on when considering different emissions reductions alternatives and long-term urban visions." Doesn't that make you feel more comfortable about this idea that you're not going to be able to eat meat and buy clothes or air travel or own a car or all of that? The ambitious targets outlined in this report are just meant to be reference points for cities to reflect on when they have these long term visions of their urban centers, or to put it another way, ambitious targets. I don't even know what that jargon is trying to say. Like, I don't believe the stuff that we're putting in this report. Like, what? And forgive me if I'm unconvinced that these ambitious targets outlined in this report aren't just plans for tomorrow, because we're already seeing bans on gas powered cars. We're already seeing ultra low emission zones in some cities around the world. We're already seeing new restrictions on gas stoves in cities. A few months ago, we talked about the mayor of New York City announcing a cap on the amount of meat and dairy served in schools and other city facilities. France is banning short haul flights in the country. If you want to go somewhere in the area, take a train, right? So like we're already seeing a handful of these things that are outlined in this report happening, but to believe that it's just like, oh no, we're just putting it in there for reference points, like BS. Get off me with that. So I don't buy it. Any of these ambitious plans and global organizations are incredibly well connected, incredibly influential, and oftentimes these things that they say and do go largely ignored, and they go largely ignored at our own peril. Like we've discussed numerous times on this podcast, the infrastructure of ESG and the Great Reset were constructed right under the noses of the public, despite the fact that advocates of these plans were openly discussing them in reports and conferences like Davos. That is why I'm starting Davos Watch, and every week I intend to shine a light on some element of the global elites, and I hope that you stay tuned in order to stay informed.